There's a wonderful diagnostics tool found in the web monitor that gives us a complete picture of our tracking experience. Under the Diagnostics tab at the top of the web monitor, we will hop into the data collection section first. Of course, we have to collect the data before we can turn it into a report. To start our data collection, we need to give it a name. This will show up as part of the file name once the file is created. Then we set the max duration. This allows it to either time out at the end of 10, 20, 30 seconds, or you can leave it at a higher number if you plan on stopping it yourself. Then we need to select which tracking device we will be using to collect this data. Under Select Devices, I'm going to choose Actor 5 because that's who I will be using. Another cool thing is you can set where you have the placement. This is important, especially if you're using multiple trackers to pull some information. I'm going to put this tracker on my left shoulder, so I'm going to set the placement to left shoulder and then confirm the selection. Lastly, you can type in any notes if need be. Now, to start the data collection, we simply press the Start button and then walk our tracker around our room. I'm walking clockwise around my room with my tracker on the left shoulder. Once you're done with your data collection, hit Stop, and now a zlog file has been created. Now, this file doesn't mean anything to us just yet. We need to turn it into a report. In the report section, we decide which zlog file we will be pulling from, and then which report type we want. We have two, position and range report. I'm going to start by making a position report. Then we need to select devices. If there were multiple devices used to collect the data, but we only want to pull the report for one or two, this is where we will do that. Then we hit Start. You will get a warning asking if you're sure you want to do this, and you do need to be sure because it can affect your system's performance. Once we hit Generate, it can take upwards of a few minutes for it to finish the content. Once it is done, it will pop over here in the Reports History section. Now I have my position report done, and it's time to pull my range report as well. Same idea. I'm going to set the zlog file, I'm going to set my report type to range, and then I'm going to select my Actor 5 as my device. Once I confirm the selection and hit Start, you'll notice that it doesn't make me read the whole pop-up because I just did it. Thanks, ZachTrack. Once this report is pulled, I also see it in the list. Now it's time to download it to my computer. I'm going to put them in my ZachTrack Reports folder because, I like to stay a little bit organized, and then we can take a look at them from there. This video is going to explain a brief overview of what everything is in these reports. However, if you're needing a more in-depth explanation for your show, reach out to your local distributor and they can elaborate on what you are seeing. The position report starts with an overview of the report itself, including the date of when it was taken and which tracking devices are in the report. This list will be longer if you're using more tracking devices. I just used one for this example. There's also a list of the anchors themselves and what the XYZ positions were pulled from ZachTrack. Other relevant information is also included, like the version number, the transmission power used when this was done, how many trackers and anchors were used, and also what other user notes are in the show. The time series overview is splitting out the X, Y, and Z axis separately so you can see if there's any loss of data over time. The position quality heat map is showing similar data, but in a map form where we may have lost position values. All of this time loss data is important because it shows us where there could be holes in our stage and we would need to move anchors to fill those holes. The anchor usage heat map is showing us how many anchors are used to calculate any position. I can see on parts of my stage I'm using all of my anchors, where on others I'm only using a few. This information could explain why I lost signal on parts of the stage. The individual anchor usage heat maps are important because it shows me where this anchor dropped out on the stage. I can see here anchor 1 because it's on my left shoulder. When I'm on the opposite side of the room, it doesn't see it at all. This is a common theme throughout all of these heat maps that I pulled here. Therefore, I might want to put one on both shoulders, and this could solve all of my data issues. The individual anchor variance is showing us the calculated position in red, but the blue line is showing us where this calculated position actually varies from what was pulled from the anchor itself. Like I said, that's the position report in a nutshell. Let's take a look at the range report before we end our time here together. The range report also starts with the same summary information that the position report also started with. This report is primarily used for helping us determine where there could be reflections in our setup. No position data is actually calculated here, and instead it's showing us only the ranges of each anchors. If we see a lot of spikes or dips in this information, that's indicative of reflections. There are obviously a lot of graphs and charts here with a ton of information. Knowing how to export this information and send it to the support technician who is helping you troubleshoot your ZacTrack system is a simple step to getting you on your way to a perfect tracking setup.